Holy, here we go again, Batman.
What's going on, everyone? You are listening to the NerdSync Podcast, and boy, do we have a great episode for you today. Seriously, it's possibly one of my absolute favorites that we've ever done. Today we're talking about The Flash pilot. Yes, that's right, the first episode of The Flash TV show that recently aired on the CW, and to help us out, we have Ross Arnold from COMIXINEMA, an amazing guest. So many laughs to be had in this episode, but guys, we want to know what you thought about The Flash pilot. So let us know on Twitter and Facebook and all of those social media places. Let's get the conversation going. Tell us your thoughts, the good, the bad, all of the stuff that you think need to be talked about. We want to hear them directly from you guys. So like I said, go hit us up on that social media. And now let's get right into it. Our review and discussion of The Flash pilot. And make sure to stick around at the end for some iTunes reviews and more of me talking. What we normally do, what we've been doing lately, introduction-wise and starting the podcast, is normally we'll do a really horrible, stupid segue like, so I wanted to talk about the Flash pilot today, as if to confuse the audience to think like we were just having a normal conversation and just happened to record this part.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
I wanted to write up some crazy, awesome intro for you that was like things that you obviously didn't do or accomplish, but I was just going to contribute them to you.
Right.
Yeah. So okay. I didn't have time for that, but I'll try to wing something fun or awkward or something.
Either way, it's both. They're both good. Fun or awkward. I can take either.
Perfect. I have a lot of different segmented lists of things that I wanted to talk about. I have 5 different lists about the show that I wanted to talk. I'm very thorough. I hope you guys brought things to talk about too, because I don't want it to just be me talking.
Oh no, I got a couple of things to mention. I will say, as the person that you know me as, though, a lot of my things are very aesthetic critiques.
Yeah, I picked something out where I'm like, I know Bryce probably won't talk about this, but it's something that that if he knew about it, he would totally nitpick on this. So that's what I've picked out.
Does it have something to do with the suit and the design of the suit?
No, it doesn't. We'll talk about it later. Okay. Or you can just continue to guess until you get it. Either way works for me.
No, we should probably move on.
We can just have 40 minutes of you guessing what I'm talking about until you get it.
No, we should probably get started.
There's a podcast idea.
Was it a different intonation with the way he said "the" in the second sentence? Yeah. Oh, yeah. You nailed it, Bryce. Got it. Oh boy.
Speaking of sentence structure, though, just really quick, that's it. Like
excellent segue.
Yeah, the bit where he says, "My name is Barry Allen." What's the actual bit that I'm annoyed by? He says, and I think it's going to catch on. The way he says that line really irritates me for some reason.
Really?
I mean, my name is Barry Allen, but I like. But then he goes, a friend of mine gave me an idea and a new name, and I think it's going to catch on. Like he says it in a really weird sort of cadence. I don't know.
Okay.
But
yeah.
I don't know if that's even worth bringing up.
I totally am on the same page with you on that. I was going to bring that up. The way they talk in this show, it's like, really? It's not conversational at all.
I mean, I don't know. If you had a conversation between like Christopher Walken and like William Shatner, I feel like the cadence would be off a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine? Have those two ever done a movie together or a TV show?
I hope not. I certainly hope not.
That'd be fantastic. I mean, not, but yeah. All right, so let's talk about the Flash pilot episode, because I think that's something that we need to talk about, because that's a big thing that happened recently in TV. Awkward segue over. I'm Scott.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Bryce.
And we are joined once again by a completely 100% American man, Ross Arnold. Do your best American accent.
Well, howdy, y'all. That's what we taught Americans speak like. So
that was pretty good.
That's good.
I'm really sad that that's how we're known across the world.
Are you saddened by the fact that we all aren't wearing cowboy hats?
Seriously,
I have one. I can go get it.
Please. That would make me a lot more
All right, we'll take a break really quickly at the beginning of the podcast so Chris can go put on a cowboy hat. All right, but in all seriousness, Ross, you are from the channel COMIXINEMA on YouTube, and you do awesome superhero visual effects videos and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I try.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you for saying they're awesome. That's nice of you.
Yeah, well, this is why we brought you on, is because we're going to dive into a lot of the visual effects on The Flash and we're going to have you pick it apart with your expert opinion. Yeah,
okay.
Putting you on the spot is what we're going to be doing.
Yeah, I'm really on the spot.
Yeah, for sure. So, anyone want to start it off with something that they either liked or didn't like about The Flash?
I've actually got something.
All right,
yeah, Bryce better go first. I have many.
Okay, I do have to say, when I watched this, I just had my girlfriend happened to be with me, and I was like, hey, I need to watch this before we do the podcast, so I want to make sure I get it in. And she's like, oh, well, do you mind if I watch it with you? And I was like, sure, why not? So we were watching it, and during the opening sequence, I have to say, it was really corny. All of the Dad, I love you, Mom, just got back from school. That kind of they did like the typical American family thing.
Yeah,
and it was really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really weird and awkward and felt really pushed. And my girlfriend even like turned to me and looked, and she goes, okay, how many cliches can we pack into the first 30 seconds of this show? And I was like, I feel you. I agree.
I guess. So Chris, you felt the same way as well?
Well, I was torn on that because on the one hand, it was very true to the origin story. But on the other hand, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cheesy. Right? You know, like I could not believe it. I was like, really? After Arrow is so successful, this is so cheesy like this? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think the difficult thing with Arrow and Flash is like Arrow really heavily focused on just like normal people with gadgets or something instead of superpowers. And then the second season they kind of did superpower type things with the Mirakuru, but then with Flash you just jump into it with just, oh, look at all these crazy superpowers and this world is so nuts in comparison to what we know from Arrow.
I think it is a little excusable though, given that the Flash that we've seen so far in the comics and in the other adaptations of shows like comic book, I can't think, animated shows.
Oh, sure.
He's normally kind of a goofy guy anyway, so I think that's the only reason it's a little excusable, you know, if that makes sense.
Sure. Ross, you got anything?
I do agree with Bryce a little on the beginning, mainly the bit where little kid Barry says, "If I was only just fast enough," like or something along those lines. Yeah, it's a bit like, okay,
yeah,
but.
All right, this was some foreshadowing.
I mean, he could have said anything, like, "Oh, if only if I was strong enough to beat up these bullies," or something like that.
Yeah,
but
chasing them or running away from them was the was the main.
If only I was fast enough to get away from them, so that I didn't have to face my fears.
If only I had my bike on me or my skateboard.
Yeah, that could have been something else. Yeah, I guess the phrasing was like on the nose a little bit with. Oh, guess what? He's going to run fast soon. You just wait. Just wait, guys. Oh, boy. Yeah, I agree that some parts of it were a little bit cheesy, but I feel like some of the actors were pretty good, right? Oh, yeah. I don't know if everybody hates all of the actors. Two of my favorite actors from it, I like the guy who plays Harrison Wells. I think he's a really good. I think he's a good actor, I think. And then
I agree.
Yeah, and then the guy that played Clyde Martin, I thought he was cool.
He was very good for his role.
Yeah, I thought he was probably one of the better actors in the pilot. So I hope I assume he's probably dead. I don't know if that's true, but I hope they bring him back.
Where did he get shot? Was it just in the chest, or I can't remember?
Yeah,
he got shot in the back.
Yeah, he got shot twice. But you know, who knows? Superpowers can always bring somebody back in some way.
But it kind of makes sense for him to be like sort of written out of the show for that specific character, because in the actual comics it's not Clyde Martin, it's Marco Martin, his brother, who is actually the Weather Wizard. So and they talk about his brother being in the plane with him.
Right.
I assume his brother's going to have been living in the woods somewhere, and he's going to come back with the same power. That's what I assume.
Sure.
Unfortunately, it means we don't have the same actor because he was really good.
He was really great.
Yeah.
That's what I had to say about that whole thing. And we were talking about before, Ross, with you when we did the last podcast you were on, where we were talking about what we want from the Flash show. Yeah. We were talking about before that the fume effects for his cloud manipulation and his tornadoes and stuff that he was doing was actually pretty good for a TV show.
It was somewhat better than others. The tornado at the end was just, wow, it was awesome.
Yeah, super good.
Yeah.
And
that's something I do have to agree with. Even though I thought some of the like lines were delivered a little weird, or like the writing was a little off for me, I did think the visual effects and the kind of like the aesthetics, the way everything looked, it did look really nice. It honestly did.
Yeah, I would say there are a couple visual effects that just didn't really look super great to me. I really don't like the shots where he's doing the close-up running, when he's running really fast and the camera's on him close-up. It looks so lame to me. But there's a scene at the end where he's running around the tornado and they get it from the outside, so you just see him running around it really fast. Where I'm like, yeah, that looks cool. I like that. But anytime they cut to him doing the close-up running, I'm like,
arm pumping.
Come on, just arm pumping. Yeah, that's not. I don't care for that very much. But the visual effects are not terrible, but some of them could definitely use improvements.
The one where he rides a taxi cab and grabs the cyclist at the end. I think it's towards the end.
Yeah,
that was really cool. That was like probably one of my favorite effects in the entire thing.
Yeah, I like that a lot because I would agree that, especially in from what we've seen in the trailer and everything like that, it seems like they spent a little bit more. Like they might have pushed out the trailer and that one leaked version that went on the internet. They may have just pushed that out really fast, but I feel like for the rest of the series they're going to spend a lot more time on the effects work, because just looking at the trailer for like the rest of the season, things look a lot better for me.
I thought the exact same thing. Yeah, I really did. I just saw a 1 minute trailer of it. I was like, whoa, that looks a lot better. Yeah,
I feel like they just rushed it out to kind of be like, well, here's this idea for this Flash show. Here you go. And let's hope it lands on a network. And then it did. And then they're like, all right, well, now let's just put all of our attention to the rest of the season. So there you go. Now, Chris, you had told me before that you don't watch Arrow, right? Or you haven't caught up 100% with Arrow.
No, I never got into Arrow just because of reasons. It sort of slipped under my radar, and now it's like, oh, season 3. I'm like, well, I guess I'm behind.
Yeah. You know? And that was one thing you were saying, was you said when he meets Green Arrow in the Flash pilot, you were saying that you missed something, or you felt like you needed to go see his role in the show or something? Yeah.
I mean, of course, knowing that I read comic books and stuff, I'm kind of like, well, duh, he knows the Green Arrow. But looking at it from a point of view of somebody who might not, it was a little presumptuous of them to, just put him in there like, oh, here's the Green Arrow. And people are scratching their heads like, what? Why is he going to this city? Who is this person? It was a little rushed, I thought, a little out of place.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I agree with that 100% because, I like comic books. I like comic book characters. I like the storylines. But, as I've said before, I don't keep up on comics necessarily. Mm-hmm. And so I consider myself more of I don't want to say a normal person, like that's not a thing, but you know what I mean? I'm not an educated person in comic books.
Sure.
And so when I was watching the show, I felt the same way. I saw him running down the road towards the city sign that I can't even remember now. And I'm just like, all right, where's he going? And then the only reason I knew that it was the Green Arrow was because of some previous comic book information that I had. Right. And I was like, that seems really out of place and not... And then he jumps off of the top of the building with like a Spider-Man effect.
Yeah.
And the only reason I understood that was because I knew he was the Green Arrow and he had shot an arrow, up and grappled a building.
Oh, that's true. They didn't even show him shooting the arrow. They just saw him like just swinging away.
He just jumps off the building and swings like Spider-Man. And I'm like, well, okay. Alrighty then.
Do you think that there are people out there that are like, was that Spider-Man? Is that like a really weird Spider-Man?
Green Spider-Man.
Before he had his costume.
Yeah. He's still wrestling with Bonesaw or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. There was that, and then there was also another moment where I felt like if you didn't have previous information, you would have no idea what was going on. And that was when they were telling his origin at the beginning. Mm-hmm. When he comes downstairs and the spoilers, Reverse Flash is running around
or
mother.
Somebody we don't know.
Or somebody. Yeah, that's
has
true.
Not been revealed.
They could totally change this.
That's Spider-Man.
There you go. But like they show this light running around his mom, right? Mm-hmm. And I knew what was going on because I know the origin of Flash, and so I was like, okay, I get this. But then I thought about it for a second, and I was like, they took until the end of the episode to explain what was going on there. For anybody that's not a comic book fan, they would probably see that and immediately lose interest in this show because they're like, okay, now I really have no idea what's going on. So it was kind of rough for me, I guess.
I have to disagree a little bit that I feel like if just because you don't know the full story, I wouldn't say you lose interest. Like, I don't know, obviously like murder mysteries and films like
That's true.
with those sort of plot lines, you don't know the full story, but you just want to find out. So I don't know. I just have to disagree a little bit with that point.
Well, guys, I gotta tell you, I am a sucker for anybody that has a wall full of newspaper clippings and red string between them. I love that. I even went back and watched old episodes of Arrow to see Barry's interaction with that show, and there's another character in those episodes who has a wall full of newspaper clippings and like they're connecting dots, and I'm like, who does that in real life? Maybe I should start. I don't know. I don't know where that originated, but I love whenever that happens. And but there was a lot of continuity errors that I found between his appearances on Arrow and the pilot of Flash. For example, this isn't really a continuity error, but this is something that I don't know if it was ever said or explained or even shown, but that particle accelerator explosion was supposed to happen around Christmas.
Had no idea.
Yeah, I didn't get that at all.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Because that's what time it was in the Arrow episode. It was around Christmas time, and then it was that day or that night he went back. He was in Starling City that whole day, and then he went back at night, which already doesn't line up because he was in
he's at the party, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was at. Yeah, he was. It's so confusing to me. I can't even explain it right now. But like, so on Arrow, he's at Starling City all day, and then he comes back at night, and he says he's calling Felicity, and he's saying, "Hey, I couldn't make it to Star Labs because I was late." But we all know in the pilot, it's a different thing. He was in Central City all day, and he wasn't able to make it or he was at the Star Labs thing, but then he got beat up.
He chased the thief.
He chased the thief. He got beat up, and we see him entering that room with like a bloody nose or something before he gets struck by lightning. Whereas in Arrow, we see him talking on the cell phone with Felicity entering the room. And it's just a lot of little things that I knew. This was the thing that I knew. If Bryce knew about it, he would nitpick about it. So this is me being like, this is me being Bryce saying, they should have fixed these things. But I guess it was for the best because it would be hard to explain like, well, who's he talking to on the phone? Who's Felicity? What's all this in a pilot episode, so...
You think during like the other crossovers and stuff, there's going to be big sort of differences in what happened? Like because there's supposedly like a big crossover for the mid-season finale between Arrow and Flash. I mean, I really hope there's not going to be more sort of plot holes in bad continuity when it comes to crossing over. Yeah,
just like a really large plot hole. Like on the Flash TV show, they were fighting Grodd, and on the Arrow TV show, they were fighting someone completely different. They were like fighting Vertigo again. Oh,
yeah, that'd be kind of
and then nobody mentions it ever again. Whenever anyone's on the Flash show, they change it to Grodd. Whenever they're on Arrow, they change it to Vertigo or something. They're like, that would be just weird.
Right.
Does anybody have anything else they want to talk about?
I couldn't help it. I nitpicked this show so much. I really wanted to like this show. I really did.
That's what Chris said too. He was like, I really wanted to like this show, Scott.
I mean, I really did. And not that it was a bad show. It was not altogether a bad show. I think it holds up pretty well. Mm-hmm. It's just there were a lot of issues I have with it and I hate to compare it to another show that would make me watch Gotham over The Flash. And so I was like...
Gotham has just spoiled me because it's so good.
I know.
It's so good. I've not got time to watch it yet, and I'm like, I really want to.
Oh, it's
so
really
good.
It's amazing.
Really? I heard bad things.
You did?
Yeah, I heard it wasn't that great.
Really?
Is that? Am I missing?
Somebody lied to you.
Right.
I've heard a couple bad things about it, but the only bad things I've heard about it are by like diehard fans. And for me, I try to approach it as this is like a show. This is like a crime drama type show. Yeah. and just completely erase everything that you think is going to happen with the characters and just go for it. And that's how I liked it. But
Right.
Bryce,
Sorry,
you were
Bryce. I
saying?
didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah. No, one of the things that I feel bad because like I said, I really wanted to like the show, but I couldn't help but laugh at certain things that kept happening throughout the show that were not supposed to be like super funny moments, but it just kind of made me laugh. And one of them that really stuck out to me was when the police chief and his partner Charlie, I think was his name, they go after the bank robber. And so they go to his barn or whatever, and they're looking for him.
Yeah.
And they walk out of the barn, and I can't remember anybody's name from this show. I remembered everybody's name from Gotham, well, almost everybody, but I cannot remember anybody's names from this show.
All right.
And
who were they? Are you talking about Clyde Martin? That's who they were chasing onto the plane. Okay. Yes. All right.
When they come out of the barn after Clyde, and Clyde turns around and just opens fire and shoots his partner.
Yeah.
His partner got shot in the neck and just bled out immediately, dropped to the ground and was dead. But after he had been laying there for a few seconds, then the police captain turns around and like leans over him and goes, "Charlie, hang in there, Charlie." And Charlie's already whitewashed eyes rolled into the back of his head, blood everywhere. He's dead. There's no hang on.
Well,
Charlie.
he was in shock, Bryce. He didn't want his good buddy to die. He wanted to hang. How many times have you seen that in a movie where they're like, "No, please don't die. Please, come on, hang on."
But it just I couldn't help but laugh at it because of the way he delivered the line. He's just like, "Charlie, hang in there, Charlie."
Just look very sincere. Hey, come on, Charlie. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, buddy, get up.
Then after
Stop
he
playing
says
around.
this, and he tries to make it so emotional, he immediately stands up and starts shooting at the guy getting in the plane. And I'm like, well, okay. What were you trying to accomplish by leaning down and telling him to hang in there? Like, first of all, he was already dead, and
he's
even if he
building up
wasn't
morale.
dead, you're not helping him.
Sure.
Okay, in that same scene that Bryce is talking about, I feel I should bring this up. When they first got out the car, his partner said something like, You always said that Kid Barry is chasing flying pigs. He's always chasing flying pigs. That is not an idiom. That is not a saying that anybody says. Who says that? I mean, I understand pigs can fly, but chasing flying pigs is not something I've ever heard anybody say.
That's funny.
I just feel like I should point out that as an example for terrible writing.
So that,
like I said,
yeah, I remember you were saying that the writing was not great. That was one of your examples was just grammatically or.
Well, that and the fact that they don't use contractions very often. They don't say don't or can't. They say cannot or do not. Like in the very beginning, Barry says, "I do not own a car." You know, that's not the way he would have said that. You know, it's like the cadence. You know, we talked about that already. The cadence is all off when they talk. You know, it's just not. It's not natural at all. Huh. It's like Data on Star Trek. You know, "I'm sorry, Captain, I cannot do that." You know,
that's true.
I don't think I noticed that, but now you've probably ruined it for me.
Yeah, now I'm gonna try to pick it out in the rest of the season to see if there's some sort of weird rule about using contractions.
Yeah, so sometimes they do, and other times they separate all the words, and it's like, really, who wrote this? You know.
Interesting.
One of the other points that I couldn't help but laugh at, and there again, not a part that you're supposed to laugh at, was when Barry is chasing down the guy that we just named, and I can't.
Clyde Martin.
Yeah,
Gosh,
when Barry's chasing down
Bryce.
Clyde. I'm sorry. He's chasing down Clyde when Clyde gets in the car, right? Mm-hmm. And this is after he pushes what's her name?
Iris.
Yeah,
you gotta learn people's names.
Okay, so he pushes Iris over because this car is like flying at them, you know, super fast with cops behind it. Barry pushes Iris over, and then he starts sprinting after Clyde, and he jumps into the car. He yanks on the wheel, the car flips over, and I'm like, oh, this is a pretty cool scene, right? Well, then Clyde gets out of the car, Barry gets out of the car, and Clyde pulls down this giant fog around the car. And the next thing that happened, I was like, oh, they're going to have like a duke out in the middle of this fog, and it's going to be really cool. No, some random dude driving down the road at like 90 miles an hour is like, oh, giant fog cloud in front of me. I should probably just run into it.
Just floor it, man. Yeah.
Explosions. Michael Bay explosions.
I know. I wrote down that the cars exploded for no reason, and I love it.
I was like, wait, what? And I started laughing. I was like, wait, is that how we normally react to a random fog cloud in the middle of the road? I better floor it to make sure.
No, that guy really had somewhere to be that day.
Yeah.
So Comixology, the digital comic book store, had a sale on Flash stuff. So I've been reading a lot of Flash comics. And with that comes a lot of Flash origins that are all slightly different, but relatively the same. And I have to say that one of the things that I like about the show is how many little tiny things that they kind of get before in his origin. Things like when he sees the waitress drop something in slow motion. That was pretty cool. That's a scene that we've seen a lot in the Flash origins, where sometimes it's a waiter, sometimes it's a waitress, sometimes he catches all that stuff, sometimes he doesn't. But that scene where a waitress or waiter drops stuff and he sees it in slow motion, that's something that was like a little cool thing that I'm glad they kind of incorporated into his origin. And also the idea that Flash was a fan of superheroes before he himself was a superhero. That carries over with how, he was a big fan of the Vigilante from Arrow. So he was like, yeah, this is cool. I want to know everything about this guy. And then that kind of played up to how he was like, maybe I should just become a superhero. That way it's not as random as, well, I have powers, better put on some tights and a mask,
Right. Well, that's what the Green Arrow said. Take your own advice. Wear a mask.
That was
exactly.
Yeah.
I do have to say that was something that I don't know how I feel about it yet. With him having this like little ragtag team of Star Labs people, where all of a sudden they were just like, "Hey, we made this costume for you. Here, put it on. Okay, I like this."
They didn't make it for him. It was just a coincidence that it fit him perfectly.
Yeah, and they made it for a firefighter.
Yeah, it was some weird firefighter suit material that does not. They said it was aerodynamic. It does not look aerodynamic. It doesn't look aerodynamic. No.
And one of the things too was like the communicator just happened to have a giant lightning bolt on it.
No,
like, let's put these
that
on the side
I
of your head.
believed, because Cisco is that kind of person where he's just like, yeah, I want to make it all cool. That's how his character is portrayed.
I hated that character.
See, I actually, that was why I was at first when I saw the communicator, I was like, okay, they're really stretching this. But really, once you do get to know that character through the pilot, you're like, it kind of makes sense that he would have made something like that because he's really quirky and he would probably go and do something like that.
That's what he says at the end when he puts the lightning bolt on the chest. He's like, why are you putting it that? Why are you putting that there? So it's not boring. And I feel like that's his thing. He wants to stylize everything in some, like you were saying, quirky way, because that's what he does. But Chris, you weren't a fan of that character?
Well, two things, actually. I have to point out one thing. At the end, during their big end battle sequence, the suit originally came with like a gas mask kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Barry just haphazardly tosses it
away. Yeah.
I wanted to say thumbs down on that. But that character, the whole time I was thinking, I was like, Twilight called, they want their character back. He was such a default kind of character, in my opinion.
Okay, but nobody hate on Danielle Panabaker as Caitlin Snow, because she's my favorite. And I like her. So nobody, even if you have opinions, keep them to yourself.
Isn't she a villain later on? Do I have that correct? Because I read it somewhere on the internet and I was like, wait, she's a bad guy later? I totally don't see that.
I mean, her character is Killer Frost.
Yeah,
whether
that character
or not
was in Injustice, the game Injustice.
Yeah,
Killer Frost, and I was like, I do not see those two becoming.
Now, whether or not they turn her into a villain or keep her as a hero is totally up to the show's writers. So
that would be very interesting.
Like a Catwoman sort of style character.
Yeah. Sure, I can totally see that.
So I want to ask you guys' opinion on the line that Arrow says, saving people in a flash, and then that's how he gives him the name. A lot of people were said it was so too cringeworthy and cheesy and stuff. And my argument against that is, okay, if Arrow came up to the Flash and said, saving people in a flash, to the Flash, that's cheesy. But he just said a phrase, just the normal phrase, doing it in a flash, doing it fast, like as quick as a flash,
right?
And that's just a phrase that gave the Flash's nick.
Like chasing flying pigs, it's just a phrase that people say.
Yeah, for real.
I don't know. I feel like doing something in a flash is is a little bit more of a
Sure.
No, I thought it made sense. No, I have to agree. I didn't see a problem with it.
I think the reason that we would say it's cringeworthy is because we have the knowledge that this guy is going to become the Flash, whereas for somebody who maybe didn't have that, like if somehow they came into watching the Flash pilot with no idea that it was about the Flash, then they would probably think it was okay. I would think.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and that goes kind of with Arrow as well, how they still don't call him Green Arrow in the show 3 seasons in.
Yet he's green.
He's green, but like in the first season and a lot of the second season too, they called him like the Hood or the Vigilante. And then he's like, maybe I should just be called the Arrow because I shoot arrows. And it's like,
No,
I feel like
this is more Smallville stuff. No more Smallville.
No, I feel like they're gradually.
Never say Superman. Bad memories coming back.
I feel like they're gradually building it up because then they're going to do like, well, they have in the third season, spoilers for Arrow third season, episode number 1. They have Roy as presumably Red Arrow. I don't know if they said that, but now, so they went from being like just the Hood or the Vigilante, then second season's like the Arrow, more specific, and now it's like, well, we have multiple arrows, so now we need to color code them. He'll be Green Arrow, he'll be Red Arrow, and I feel like that's what they might be trying to do. So it's not just that really cheesy, I'm gonna go by Green Arrow, you know?
But didn't they say he's going to be Arsenal? Like he's going to be referred to as Arsenal, or is that not something?
Probably. If I had to guess, that sounds better than Red Arrow.
Yeah.
And yeah, they jokingly called him Speedy in one episode, so they're trying to hit on like maybe all of his names or something just to really keep fans happy. I want to talk about something that I know a lot of people might have seen and would have been like, "Whoa, that's crazy! I can't wait for that." Well, there's actually 2 things. Number 1 is the Grodd cage. Yeah,
oh my god,
that's a big thing that I hope we can look forward to. With that,
did I miss something?
Bryce, remember when Harrison Wells is taking Barry through the lab, or like when Barry just wakes up and he's taking them through Star Labs, and then they're like, and there's like this pan over shot of a broken cage that says Grodd on it.
Yeah, I totally missed that.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would have known had I seen it.
That was one of the things that I saw too. I was like, "What? Gorilla Grodd? Nice."
Yeah. I'm very far behind in Flash Comics, but I'm currently in the Guerrilla Warfare arc of the New 52, and that's super good. And so I hope that they incorporate Grodd in a really big way, in a really cool way, and not just like, hey, look, giant gorilla, go stop him and return him to the zoo or something like that. You know?
He has to be a telepath because that's like the thing. Like, there's no way he's just going to be like Planet of the Apes sort of style. But what do you think they're going to? They're not going to have Planet of the Apes style like VFX.
They're not going to be able to do that. Yeah.
So I don't want a costume because I don't know, unless it's really good, it's just going to be bad.
Maybe maybe what they might do is build it up a little bit in the first season, but never show it. And then when they get their hopefully bigger budget for the second season, maybe they'll have something better to do for the gorillas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who can say? But the other big thing was that the ending was with the crisis.
Okay, that's what I was going to mention.
All right, yeah. So, Bryce, walk us through what happened, frame by frame.
Basically, the guy whose name I don't know.
Gosh dang it, Bryce. Harrison Wells.
He goes up to a secret panel on the wall, puts his hand on the wall kind of like dematerializes in front of him, and he goes into this secret room that has this like really cool looking futuristic feel to it. And there's just this computer at the end of the room, and on the computer is a newspaper from 2049, if I'm correct.
Sure.
And he gets up out of his wheelchair.
Yeah, he gets up out of his
and
wheelchair.
also he can walk. That was the thing. He just stands up.
Yeah.
Sure.
Phony.
So,
and it says
here's
that Flash
something.
disappears in crisis event, is what I believe the newspaper said.
I just thought about something though, because he was so interested in Barry because Barry's regeneration effect, and he wants that way he can fix his legs. Has he already found the regeneration effect by this point, or is it just that he was also affected by the explosion, and so that's why he could regenerate his legs? Or was he just lying to everyone the whole time?
I mean, yeah, Ross, do you have any theories?
I mean, presumably he did actually lose his legs in the thing, so he actually got into a wheelchair, and then That was how many months before Barry woke up?
It was 9.
9, yeah.
9 months. Okay, so presumably at some point in that time, I feel like he's fixed it somehow. And I mean, you remember my theory of him being Reverse Flash, and something, something to do with that. And him getting his legs back, and he just decided to pretend to be in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
So that people could take pity on him.
Sympathy.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's definitely one way to make yourself feel like, look, I'm not a villain. I'm in a wheelchair, guys. So it's definitely one way to do it.
You know, in I think the Jeff Johns, Wally West Flash storylines, I could be wrong, I could be confusing it, but there's definitely a period where Wally West's suit is like sort of like the Green Lanterns, where it's made up of sort of Speed Force energy, so he doesn't have to like change into it. It just goes and it appears on him. I really would like to see a Flash suit like that, but I don't know if they could do that in the show.
Yeah,
but I don't know. At some point, I'd love to see a Flash suit in that sort of.
Yeah, do you think they're gonna do a thing where they make his suit inside of a ring that he wears, or is that gonna be way too ridiculous for this show?
I was thinking maybe because Ray Palmer has been introduced into Arrow.
Yep.
The Atom. So maybe he helps him out with like a shrink, sort of like a suit shrinker.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Because did you see the set photos of the Reverse Flash?
Yes, I have.
So he's wearing a ring.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, he's wearing a gold ring on the outside of his costume.
Huh.
So I imagine we're going to have something to do with the ring. Whether it's just, this is like a symbol that I punch in your forehead like a gangster. It leaves my symbol on your forehead after I've messed with you.
Exactly.
Or whether it's the costume ring, I don't know.
Or if he's a part of like the Sinestro Corps or something.
Oh, that would be neat.
Oh my god.
Sudden crossover.
That would be such a cool way to make him like a yellow Flash. Oh my god.
What if it's not the Reverse Flash? What if it's just him with the yellow lantern?
The writers are there right now like, oh man, that's a good idea. We should.
Because we know all of them listen to this podcast.
Right.
Well, I assume that everybody who's in charge of anything we review listens intently to everything that we have to say via the podcast. So
Right.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
They
writers.
need to know what the people want.
Exactly. I'll tweet at the Flash writers later today. That's what I always think.
Did we all conclude sort of like what we generally overall felt about the show?
Yeah, that's a good point
we should
too.
probably do that.
Yeah, we should talk about that.
Sorry, you would have done the outro. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. This is what editing is for.
I'll just restructure it when editing.
That's right. We don't edit anything. Let's just go across from what I see in front of me. So Bryce, what did you think overall of the Flash pilot? Yay or nay? It can only be one or the other. It can be yes or no. It can't be.
I can't give it on a scale.
All right, fine. You can do whatever you want. I don't care. Let's all have a different scale to measure it on, so nobody knows who thinks what about it.
Well, I will say that I really wanted to like it, and honestly, the pilot wasn't that bad, but it did let me down in a couple aspects just because of stuff I've talked about already. So I'm not going to restate everything.
Sure.
But I would probably give it like a 6.5 out of 10, maybe. And 6.5 out of 10.
It's like a 20-point numbering system.
Wait, what?
Because you're doing halves out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Sure, 6.5 out of 10.
Math.
Because it's not bad enough to be a 6, but it's not good enough to be like a 7, 8, or 9. And
or
definitely
10.
not a 10.
Yeah. All right, so 6.5. Chris,
so probably 6.5.
Out of, you don't have to use Bryce's rating system. If you favor one of your own, you can say that.
Man, that's too much pressure. I'm going to give it. I really want to give it a C letter grade, but I'm going to step it up to a B because E for effort. They really tried, but they need to step up their game and quality. And I know it's on the CW and everything, but it was very amateurish, the writing and everything. Like we talked about, the way they talk and certain things that they do that don't make any sense. Chasing flying pigs. They need to serious it up just a little bit when it comes to the quality, just a little bit.
Sure,
but I liked it.
Sure. Ross?
Yeah, I liked it. I'm a little bit biased because I love the Flash so much, so I was gonna like it. But it was good. I was happy with it. There's room for improvement, but then again, as far as I can remember, there was with, and that tends to get better and better. So I'm really looking forward to watching the show.
Cool. So we have 6.5, B, room for improvement.
Okay,
great.
Scott.
I
On
can't
the
even think
dinosaur
of another
scale,
one.
what do you give it? A velociraptor?
Probably a mesoteric. I don't know.
Dinosaur scale.
Yeah, it's definitely Neopleurodon. I don't know how to pronounce that. No, I would say I watched. I somehow may have watched it before it was actually on TV, and I felt that it was really good. And then I watched Gotham, and Gotham was spectacular. And then when you go back to watch that, it's like, oh, well, this isn't as good by comparison. So maybe that's the problem that some people might be having, is that Gotham is really good, or other shows that they look forward to are really good, and by comparison, Flash isn't great. But if you watch it on its own, then it's... I really liked it the first time I watched it. I thought it was really, really good. But then, of course, when you start picking it apart, it's like, oh, well, I guess it really wasn't that good.
Yeah, it's one of those things, even out of all the things that we picked out of it, though, it's not really a bad show, and I'd definitely give it another shot. I'm willing to watch more episodes. I'm not just going to write it off because the pilot wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, So,
Yep. I will give it a arbitrary thumbs up. Who knows what that means? But it's not a thumbs down, so that's good.
It's not 2 thumbs up either. It's just one.
Well,
just the
who
one
knows what the
thumb.
scale is? I never even said what the scale
It
is.
could be 100 thumbs up.
It could be 100 thumbs up.
Right. Well,
I
that's
need to
assuming
watch
you have
Gotham.
2.
Yeah, so
I really need to watch Gotham.
yeah, I liked it
it's
a lot.
great.
Ignore everybody who says it's terrible.
Yeah.
good.
I don't know if you saw. I may have posted it on Twitter and stuff. I met the main guy, Donald Logue, and
Ben McKenzie?
Ben McKenzie. Yeah, I was in New York and they were filming, and we waited outside their trailers for a little bit. But they were trying to be cryptic with like who was in the trailer. So they wrote James and Harvey, and I was like, oh, that's easy. And we waited out there for ages, and then the guy, like the producers, something pegged on that we knew that who was in there. So he went in and they changed the names from those names to DG and DB for Detective Bullock and Detective Gordon.
That's
right.
Yeah, I think you got that right.
Yeah. Okay. So he says, and I was like, it took me a second. I was like, what? Oh, okay. Now it's definitely them. So
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
I need to watch the show.
Yeah, you do. You got to support them.
So you just like travel to America randomly?
No,
for
he lives
things?
in America. He's American.
I'm from America, bro.
Oh no, Scott! I told you this. What was it? When was it, Scott? Like a month ago. I saw somebody at the mall, and Ross, I swear it looked like you. I thought I saw you here in Charleston. I was so scared. I was like, "Holy crap, it's Ross!" Why is he here?
Why were you
It's Scott.
scared?
I'm about to say
Because
something.
the resemblance was uncanny. I said, "Oh my gosh, that guy looks exactly like Ross Arnold."
Okay, I'm about to say something that's going to make me sound really stupid.
Yeah.
Scott, please don't lie to me right now. And Ross, don't lie to me either. And neither you, Chris. I've been convinced since the first time we had Ross on that lives in England.
Yeah.
He's all right. Okay.
Does he live in America or
You
England?
got me.
No.
He's Canadian.
No.
I'm gonna let people speculate.
Yeah.
I'm so
My
that-
American
maybe-
accent is uncanny.
Yeah, it is. It is
Yeah.
very good.
No,
Maybe it is Ross behind you at the mall or whatever. Who
No,
knows?
he was in front of me, and the guy turned around, and I just had this moment where I was like, "Good Lord, he looks like Ross. Why is Ross here?"
Ross is omnipresent. He is everywhere and nowhere. All right. Awesome, man. Well, thanks so much again for joining. We'll have you on sometime in the future as well for other
Anytime.
things.
Anytime.
Thank you for being a part of it and pretending to put on that accent, even though we all know you're American.
Oh, that god awful accent.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I love coming on.
Where can people find you on the internet?
So you can go to youtube.com/COMIXINEMA and you can check out my new Justice League trailer that I made. And you can go to Twitter, the same URL, or Ross Arnold, my personal one. And I mean, that's all I really care about shouting out.
Sure. And that's Comic Cinema, spelled COMIX. Oh crap! I forgot how to spell.
It's COMIXINEMA, like cinema. You guys don't really say cinema, right?
I mean, we
sometimes
we don't.
It
say
depends on
regularly.
why we're talking. What we're talking about.
Yeah, if we want to be
we
fancy,
say cinematic.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Or like
so you don't-
cinematography, but
Yeah.
we don't say like I'm going to a cinema or I'm going to the cinema. I don't know how you would use it.
I'm going to the movies.
How about
is what
you
we say.
use it in a sentence and we'll tell you whether or not that we say that.
Okay, I'm gonna go to the cinema.
No,
Never once.
I'm gonna go see a movie. That's pretty much.
Which I gotta
the
say,
extent
that
of it.
sounds better because movie sounds like, oh, it's a movie. Things move on it. I'm gonna
It's a
go watch
motion
this
picture.
movie. It's such a childish thing to say, but like you say cinema, and it's like, yeah, okay, sure, let's go do that. Do I need to dress up for that? It sounds like I need to dress up for that.
But
That'd
then
be cool.
you guys don't you guys call it a theater? So that sounds kind of posh
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, well, we call it a movie theater, so it still has.
Well, it depends on who you're talking to. Some people, they want to say, "Oh, I'm going to the movie theater." It just depends.
Yeah, that's the only sentence structure we can use it with is I'm going to insert.
Yes.
normally when people say theater, they're talking about like a live action theater too, though, as opposed to
Right.
movie
Right.
theater.
Fiddler on the
That's-
Roof,
that's
that
what
kind
I
of thing.
figured.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I figured it'd be kind of confusing.
I feel like we don't actually talk about movie theaters unless we're talking about how much we hate or love the actual theater itself. But then
It's
we
a physical
Yeah.
building.
yeah, but then we talk about movies as if they're just their own thing that the theater had nothing to do with.
Right.
Okay, so I know you're from England, but do you live in England or do you live in America?
I live in England.
Okay, thank you. Scott, I hate you so much.
That was amazing. Seriously, can't you see why that was one of my favorite episodes ever? I'm still laughing so hard about how we trolled Bryce in thinking that Ross was American. Because he is, everybody listening at home. Keep the mystery alive. Guys, thank you so much for listening. I did want to say a couple quick things before we leave. Number one, this is the first episode that will be going up on SoundCloud now, thanks to our Patreon supporters who have gotten us past our first milestone of our Patreon campaign. We are now on SoundCloud, which is really great for commenting and sharing and reposting and doing all sorts of great social stuff and getting more involved with the podcast. Something that iTunes and Stitcher kind of struggle with a little bit is getting the listeners involved. It's more passive listening, but with SoundCloud, it's great because now you can comment on stuff, you can, share it, do all that stuff that I just said. And it's really easy and simple. And we hope that you guys like it. And, I look forward to seeing you over there on our SoundCloud page, soundcloud.com/NerdSync Podcast. And now, after I've basically just bashed iTunes a little bit, I want to move on to the part of the show where I read your iTunes reviews and encourage you to leave them, which now sounds weird that I'm saying, hey, go do SoundCloud. But anyway, leave reviews on iTunes. Everything you can do to help the podcast really is a tremendous help to us, guys. So I want to read one from Tyler Rose 2011, which is just a great name, by the way. And they say they are loving it. 5 stars, an excellent podcast, and my go-to choice when I'm needing something to listen to. Excited to hear more in the future. Well, we are excited to give you more podcasts in the future. And I know there's a lot of podcasts out there. I've been struggling with this a lot lately in my catching up with my podcasts that I listen to. There's a lot of them that are very commercial heavy, that are like trying to get sponsorships all over the place. That's not what we're about. We want you guys, we want to provide commercial-free entertainment for you on the podcast for as long as we possibly can. And the way we're doing that is through our Patreon page. So if you like the podcast, go over there, check it out. Become a patron if you can. Don't worry about it if you can't. But, we really do appreciate all of you guys who are helping support the podcast in any way that you can. Even if just a penny a month is spectacular. And we can't say thank you enough. So I am going to leave you right there. And we'll see you right here next week for more of the NerdSync Podcast. See ya.